the chat box. I hope you can all see the chat message. So you can just Google this and you can find the PDF. Okay. So are you able to all see the chat message, everyone?
Yes.
So this paper is available online. You can download the PDF and you can read. I would suggest everyone to go through this paper. So the author of the papers are Oppenheim and J.S. Lim. So Oppenheim is the same Oppenheim of Oppenheim and Schaeffer. So you should all read this. And today we will discuss whether there is a relationship between magnitude and phase of systems. So, so before I go into this, we need to talk about a particular kind of uh, system which has a certain uh, magnitude response. So we want to find out whether there is a Z transform Rz such that it is equal to mod of h of e to the power j omega square, where h of z is given to you. So h of z is a filter which is given to you. The impulse response of the filter h of n is given to you. You have taken its Fourier z transform and you have found out h of z, and you have also found out h of e to the power j omega. Now you are trying to see whether there is a system whose Z transform R of Z is equal to mod of h of e to the power j omega square. That is, you have a second system B whose uh, Z transform calculated at the unit circle is equal to square of the magnitude response of the filter A. The filter A is h of n, whose Z transform is capital H of Z, and whose frequency response is capital H of e to the power j omega. So you have found out its magnitude response and taken the squared of it. And you're saying that there is another system B whose Z transform is R of Z. And you are finding out its Z transform on the unit circle at Z equal to e to the power j omega. And you want to find out whether such a system is equal to the square of the magnitude response of system A. So I can write this square of the complex number as the complex number into its conjugate. So effectively it boils down to finding out what is h star of e to the power j omega. Okay. Somebody else is there. Today I'm not very well, but still I'm teaching. So all of you just pay attention to what I'm saying, because today some important things I'm trying to say. So you should all see the paper which I have just typed out, and that is the proceedings of IEEE paper. That means it is a very, very landmark paper, some paper which are very significant in the literature. They appear in what is called Proceedings of IEEE. So it is an old Proceedings of IEEE from where you can get this paper, and it tells you that why phase is important in signals. You may think that only the magnitude response is important because you have come across low pass filters and ideal filters where the magnitude response is generally used. The phase response is normally not talked about, but in this paper, you'll see that the phase of signals are important. So today we are also going to discuss another thing, that whether there exists any relationship between the magnitude and the phase response of arbitrary systems. Okay, are you able to all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can you see the screen, everyone? Yeah. So as I was saying, that we have a system B and we have a system A, and we want to find out for system B what is R of Z at on the unit circle. So we have written this down in terms of the frequency response of system A, and we want to find out the Z transform V of Z such that V of Z at the unit circle is equal to H star omega e to the power j omega. We'll see that how V of Z and H of Z are all related. So I'm just trying to come to that derivation. So we want to find out, because we know what is the Fourier response of H of n, that is H of e to the power j omega, that is for system A. There is another system which is having a frequency response H star of e to the power j omega. So we say that we are trying to find the Z transform V of Z such that V of Z, Z to the power e to the power j omega is equal to H star e to the power j omega. So if you take the complex conjugate of the basic Z transform equation, then you can write H star e to the power j omega is equal to, generally we write H of e to the power j omega is equal to H of k into e to the power minus j omega k, right? That is your dt of t equation. So when you take the conjugate on both sides, you get this expression. H star e to the power j omega is equal to H star of k into e to the power plus j omega k, because you have taken conjugation on both sides. So now you can write this as H star of k into Z to the power k, where Z is equal to e to the power j omega. And you can now write this as a function of Z, which is equal to V of Z, calculated at Z equal to e to the power j omega. So that V of Z is equal to this guy. Can you all see my cursor? So V of Z is equal to H star of k into Z to the power k. So now V of Z is equal to this. So this can be expressed as H of k into Z star k whole conjugate. So now we are trying to bring it in the form of the original Z transform equation. Let's see, this can be written as H of k Z star to the power k whole conjugate. Now you can write 1 by Z star to the power minus k. You can write this. Here you have taken reciprocal and you put a negative sign. So 1 by Z star whole of 1 by Z star of minus k whole of conjugate, whole conjugate. So you see this term resembles the Z transform equation. It is something like x of k into Z to the power minus k. Now here Z is 1 by Z star. So this is capital H star of 1 by Z star. So we got a system V of Z, which is related to system A, Z transform by H star of 1 by Z star. So we have a system A, we have a system B, we have a system C. So system B is having the Z transform R of Z, which is equal to the product of the uh, magnitude responses, frequency responses, H of e to the power j omega and H star of e to the power j omega. For this guy, we say that there is a system C, such that its Z transform V of Z is equal to H star e to the power j omega. So now what have we got? So we have R of Z equal to H of Z into H star of 1 by Z star. That is what we have derived. Okay. Is it clear to everyone? This is the equation. So this is our filter A. This is system B. System B. This is system C. Okay. So this will be very useful, this set of equation. So the function V of Z can be written as H star of 1 by Z star. You can get this by conjugating the coefficients of H of Z and replacing everywhere Z inverse by Z. So,
Sir, the
yes,
slides are freezed.
slides are frozen. Okay, just hold on. Can you see? Are you able to see?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, whenever there is a problem, just let me know. So in the previous slide, you could see this.
Yes, we
So we have like three systems. I've just decomposed this equation like into three systems. You have one filter A, which has a Z transform H of Z. You have another filter whose Z transform is equal to the frequency response squared of the first filter, and we have another system C such that V of Z is equal to H star of e to the power j omega. Okay, and we have slowly derived how all these systems are related. So now can you see this? If I go full screen, can you see? Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay. So the function V of Z is equal to H star 1 by Z star. So this can be obtained by conjugating the coefficients of H of Z and replacing everywhere Z inverse by Z. Hmm. So if H of n has real values, then we have simplified V of Z as equal to H of 1 by Z. So we can write R of Z is equal to H of Z into H star 1 by Z star for complex H of n, for complex filters, or for real filters, you can write this as simply H of Z into H of 1 by Z. So why am I doing all this? So we will come to the next slide. So I hope all of you can see the next slide. So suppose we have systems with rational, um, or we have systems with polynomials of Z in the numerator and in the denominator. So we have used this kind of system functions earlier. So we can write R of Z in terms of denominator and numerator by denominator of fraction, where each of the denominator and numerator have polynomials in Z inverse. So for example, I can write this in terms of zeros and in terms of poles. So for each pole of H of Z, there are two poles of Rz at Pk and 1 by Pk star. Okay, you see? Can you see the previous slide? R of Z is written as H of Z into H of 1 by Z for the real H of n. So if you imagine that there is a filter having some poles and zeros, that is H of Z, then H of 1 by Z has the reciprocal of the poles and the zeros. Okay? So R of Z will consist of pairs of poles and zeros, where those pairs are related by the reciprocal function. Okay, so that is what I was trying to go at. So for each pole of H of Z, there are two poles of R of Z at Pk and 1 by Pk star. Is it clear? Can you see the screen? So similarly, for each 0 Zk of H of Z, there are two zeros of R of Z at Zk and 1 by Zk star. The poles and zeros of R of Z occur in conjugate reciprocal pairs. So suppose this is for the general case, conjugate reciprocal pairs. For the real case, it is only reciprocal. So we are trying to understand what are all pass systems. So we'll come to all pass systems. So that is what I'm trying to push at. Now slowly we are approaching that. So we have defined a filter H of Z. We have defined R of Z as equal to H of Z into H of 1 by Z for the real filter. Now suppose we had the filter H of Z described in terms of poles and zeros in terms of a rational function, then we can write R of Z in terms of the original poles and zeros of H of Z by using these factors. You see these factors, they are pairs of poles and zeros where those pairs are related by the reciprocity function. So suppose W is equal to R into e to the power j phi is a pole, or maybe a zero for the original filter H of Z, then 1 by W star is equal to 1 by R into e to the power j phi is a pole or zero. So you see, if W was inside the unit circle, then its conjugate reciprocal 1 by W star is outside the unit circle. So if W is on the unit circle, then 1 by W star has to be in the same location on the unit circle. So let us see an example. and then let us try to clear this ideas what are happening. So we have a filter which is a second order FIR system with a system function given like this. So 1 by A into Z inverse into 1 minus B into Z inverse. System has two real zeros inside the unit circle because you are placing these two conditions. A is greater than -1, less than 1. B is greater than -1, less than 1. So you are placing A and B to be inside the unit circle. So this is a second order FIR system. It has only zeros at A and B, and both of the locations are inside the unit circle. So the Z transform R of Z can be written as H of Z into H of 1 by Z. So you have two more terms here, 1 minus Z into 1 minus BZ, which you see they are inverse or reciprocals of the previous zeros. So it has two zeros from H of Z, Z1 equal to A and Z2 equal to B, and two zeros from H of 1 by Z, Z3 equal to 1 by A and Z4 equal to 1 by B. So given RZ, we can pair these zeros and form four different second order FIR systems. Okay. So there is something, it is leading to multiple systems. So it is not unique. If you have H of Z, which has some poles and zeros, then you can define R of Z in multiple ways. Is this idea clear at least? How H of Z and RZ are related? If you have a doubt, you please ask me. Is this idea clear? We have earlier seen that R of Z is equal to mod of H of e to the power j omega square, and we have proven that R of Z is equal to H of Z into H star 1 by Z star. Now we are showing that if you are given H of Z, then R of Z can be written as like product of two terms. So you have the zeros and the reciprocal of the zeros and the poles of H of Z and the reciprocal of the poles of H of Z. So if you see in this example, you have a second order FIR system. There are two zeros, and you can write R of Z as product of four terms. Now, let me come to the next slide. So these are the four different filters that you can get, and you can write the corresponding R of Z. Okay, you see this. Given R of Z, by pairing different zeros, we can form four different second order FIR systems. Or you can say that given these FIR systems, or given these zero locations, then you can form R of Z in many forms, in four different forms. So this is the way you can, or you can say that if R of Z is given to you, then H of Z can be one of these four. So these systems have the same magnitude response but different phase response. This is something to understand, because if you look at this equation, R of Z is equal to H of Z into H of 1 by Z, and if your filter was given like this, the first two terms, then H of 1 by Z is having extra two terms, and you see R of Z will have the same magnitude response for various kinds of H of Z. H of Z can take four different types. It can be like this first way, it can be like this second way, third way, fourth way. If you multiply two extra terms by respecting that the extra terms are obtained by the reciprocal of the first two terms, then you will get R of Z, which has the same magnitude response. Okay. Even though you have changed the filter, R of Z has the same frequency response or same magnitude response, but its phase response will be different. Are you able to understand what I'm trying to say here? We are doing it very slow, so I'm just trying to make sure that you are able to pick up. What is R of Z? That I will come to now. Is this clear? Given R of Z, by pairing different zeros, we can form 4 different second order FIR systems. So now, in general, given R of Z, there are 2 to the power n plus m different systems Hk of Z satisfying R of Z is equal to H of Z into H of 1 by Z. Is this clear? There can be 2 to the power n plus m. So in the previous case, we had n equal to 0, m equal to 2, isn't it? We had a second order FIR system. So the number of poles were 0 and number of zeros were 2. So we had n equal to 0, m equal to 2. So we had 4 different H of Z for the given R of Z. In general, given a rational R of Z, there are 2 to the power n plus m different systems Hk of Z satisfying R of Z equal to H of Z into H of 1 by Z, or R of Z equal to H of Z into H star 1 by Z star in the general case. So all these systems have the same magnitude response but different phase responses. So given H of e to the power j omega mod, we cannot uniquely identify the phase response angle H of e to the power j omega without additional information. This is important. Okay, all of you can see this slide. So you can see what I have written in red. For arbitrary systems, you cannot infer anything about the phase from the magnitude and vice versa. Are you able to see this slide? Everyone?
Yes, sir.
So we said that R of Z is equal to mod of H e to the power j omega square. So now the conclusion that we are reaching, that given magnitude response, you cannot infer anything about the phase response of the filter. Or similarly, given the phase response of the filter, you cannot infer much about the magnitude response of the filter. Okay. So now let us see what is called an all-pass system. And we'll try to decompose this all-pass system. Okay. So we have seen ideal filters of various types. We've seen low-pass filters, high-pass filters, band-pass filters, band-stop filters. So we have seen those kinds of stop bands and pass bands for all kinds of ideal filters. So for a special kind of a ideal filter, which is an all-pass filter, the frequency response has a constant magnitude. That means it is a DC. So you can say that this particular magnitude response is a constant. Mod of h of e to the power j omega is equal to g, where g is greater than 0. If you assume g equal to 1, then all pass systems preserve the power or energy of their input signals. So all pass systems do not change the power or the energy in the input signal which is passed inside the filter. So they allow all frequencies, they allow the energy of the input signal to not get attenuated or not get amplified if G is equal to 1. So all pass systems are said to be lossless systems. So they don't change the input signal. So the simplest all pass system is simply scale and delay the input signal. So it is written as h of ap z equal to g into z to the power minus k, where z to the power minus k will produce delay and g will produce scaling. So this is the simplest all pass system. Okay, everyone. But you can have something more non-trivial. So a non-trivial family of all-pass systems, which is known as a dispersive all-pass system, can be obtained by noting that the factors 1 minus pk e to the power minus j omega and its complex conjugate 1 minus pk star e to the power j omega have the same magnitude. So you can divide each of them. So you can divide 1 minus pk e to the 1 minus j omega divided by 1 minus pk star e to the power j omega. Since they have the same magnitude, they don't produce any scaling. So you can write the all-pass system as hk of z equal to z inverse into this. So you can simplify it slightly to get this term. So this filter is an all-pass filter. Okay. So Z inverse only makes the system causal. Otherwise, it doesn't have any role. Z inverse here is just to make the system causal, whereas this divided by the numerator divided by denominator will not cause any change in the input signal because the magnitude of the numerator and the magnitude of the denominator are the same. So higher order all pass systems can be obtained by cascading multiple first order systems. This is the first order all pass system. So you can cascade multiple first order systems to produce higher order all pass systems. So this will be the general form of the all pass system, Z transform. So you see there is a product term here, k going from 1 to n. Okay. And there is some term here e to the power j beta. Generally beta is equal to 1. So that term turns out to be, sorry, beta is equal to 0. So that term turns out to be equal to 1. So this is the general form of a nth order all pass system. Okay. So let me just do this. So there is one important example that I should tell you.
Sir, can you go back?
Yeah. Yeah. One second. Yes. You want to ask me something? Is this
No, sir,
okay?
I'm writing the last equation. Okay, sir, done.
Okay. Yeah. So this is the form of the general nth order all pass system constructed from n first order systems in cascade. Now this is in cascade. Huh? So now let us see, will parallel connection of all pass systems be in general all pass? The answer is no. For example, h1 of z is equal to 1 is an all pass system because it doesn't change the input, the scaling is 1. And h2 of z is equal to z inverse is also an all pass system because it only produces scale delay, it doesn't change the magnitude of the input signal. It is 1 into z to the power minus k. We said that the general form of an all pass system is g into z to the power minus k. So both h1 of z and h2 of z are all pass. But if you have a parallel connection of these two systems, then you get what is called h1 of z plus h2 of z equal to 1 plus z inverse. Now, if you simplify z by putting it as some complex number r into e to the power j theta, then you can see that it is not all pass because h of e to the power j omega is equal to 2 into cos omega by 2. 2 into cos omega by 2 is not pure scaling. It changes the magnitude of the input signal. So this is not an all pass system. Okay. So cascade of all pass systems will produce an all pass system, but parallel connection of all pass systems we may not produce in general an all pass system. There's something to understand. So each pole of an all pass system should be accompanied by a complex reciprocal 0, 1 by pk star. So since causal and stable all pass systems must have all poles inside the unit circle, all zeros are outside the unit circle. Okay, so all pass systems can have both poles and zeros, and they can be written in terms of a rational system function. So we are only limiting the condition, or we are putting a limiting condition that all the poles of the all pass system should be inside the unit circle. So the corresponding reciprocal, that is reciprocal of the pole, will be outside the unit circle. For example, you have something like 0.8. So suppose you have the pole at 0.8, then 1 by 0.8 is greater than 1. So that will be outside the unit circle. Okay. So we'll come to this diagram in the next class. And I will explain more about all pass systems. So today what we have done is we have looked at R of Z, which was defined as equal to mod of HE to the power j omega square. And we have now decomposed it as a product of two terms, h of z into h star of 1 by z star, or in the real case, h of z into h of 1 by z. So we have R of z is equal to h of z into h of 1 by z. And we have seen all pass systems. So there is a connection between R of Z and all pass systems. Okay, we'll come to that a little bit later. So that's why I introduced R of Z and I got the decomposition, and then I moved into all pass systems. How is all pass system connected to R of Z and why that decomposition is necessary, that we will see in the next two classes. Okay. So today I was not very well, so I did not teach much. So I'm hoping that I can take an extra class in the weekend, maybe on Saturday. If I do, then I will inform you, and otherwise we'll meet on Monday. If it is okay with all of you, then I can try to take an extra class. Otherwise, we'll meet on Monday. Is it okay? Shall I try to schedule an extra class? I don't know, like nobody is talking.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, today anyway the attendance is very low, so I don't know what to say.
So on Saturday there are some placement exams actually.
Okay, then we'll meet on Monday. But I'll try to finish this as soon as possible. We'll move into the next chapter. Okay, fine, huh? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.